What's up, guys? It is your favorite ex-investment banker, Jerome, back at it with another video. Today, we're doing another ex-investment banker reacts. This is a video that a close friend of mine sent to me. It's titled, How is the US Destroy... I didn't even say that right. Apparently, I can't even read. What am I doing being an investment banker ex? Let's try that again. How the US is Destroying Young People's Future by Scott Galloway. Let's get right into it.
My name's Scott Galloway. I teach at NYU, and I appreciate your time. I have 44 slides in 720 seconds. Let's light this candle.
That was so quick. First off, I was going to say this guy's so monotone, I'm not going to be able to stay awake through this. Then he just cracked the funniest joke of all time. I have 44 slides in 726 seconds. Let's light this candle. That's funny. NYU Professor. All right, let's keep going.
True story. I've had 4 TV series in the last 3 years. 2 of them have been canceled before they were launched, and 2 were canceled within 6 weeks. Let's recap.
If we want to juice this thing, if we want to put a cattle prod up the ass of the economy.
Bloomberg, the most trusted name in financial news.
Not for long.
I'm going to do whatever I can for this country of ours.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Jeez, come on, dude. You're 0 for 2. Are you stuck?
Bro, what just happened? What's going on? Why did we just see this guy shirtless with a pickaxe, then with Andrew Yang on CNN? I'm very intrigued. I love this guy already. Why were none of my professors in college like this? Also, if you're one of my college professors and you're watching this video, you're hilarious. I loved all of your lectures. Yeah.
I start us with a question. Do we love our children? Sounds like an illegitimate question, right? Well, I'm going to try and convince you otherwise. Essentially, as we go down generations, we're seeing that for the last 2 generations, people are making less money on an inflation.
Whoa, okay. I am locked in. I did not know that this was going to be this type of video, but we're talking about the income and wealth gap between our generation and the generation above us. I complain about this all the time. I say I hate Dave Ramsey because of this, and he's out of touch. Let's look at these stats right here. Okay, each generation at age 25, inflation adjusted, pre-tax income for our grandparents, that's the boomer age, $74,000, cost of college, 14% of that income, cost of a house, 3 times that income. Our parents' generation, meaning they really didn't feel that much of a difference from their parents, they made $70,000, 17% was their cost of tuition. 4 times was the home to income ratio. Now, for our generation, we're making $66,000. College costs 42% of that. Homes cost 7 times. I don't know why I just spoke all that. You guys can clearly just look at the screen. Let's keep going because I completely agree with where he's going.
Simply put, as we get younger, we're taking away opportunity and prosperity from our youngest. The social contract that is now no longer in place, and for the first time in the U.S.'s history, a 30-year-old is no longer doing as well as his or her parents were at 30. This is a breakdown in the fundamental agreement we have with any society, and it creates rage and shame. As a result, people over the age of 55 feel pretty good about America, but less than 1 in 5 people under the age of 34 feel very good about America. This creates an incendiary. Righteous movements, cuts to our society end up becoming opportunistic infections because generally speaking, young people have a warranted envy, they're pissed off, and they're angry that they don't enjoy the same spoils and prosperity that were provided to our generation.
That's an interesting comparison to make. He didn't say this, but he's essentially saying that young people have a higher propensity to protest and do all these social movements because they're already pissed off at America. I don't know if I necessarily agree with that. I understand the point, but I do think there's just a lot of social issues in the world.
A decent proxy for how much we value youth labor is minimum wage, and we've kept it purposely pretty low. If it had just kept pace with productivity, it'd be at about $23 a share, but we've decided to purposely keep it low. Out of reach, median home price has skyrocketed relative to median household income. As a result, pre-pandemic, the average mortgage payment was $1,100. It's now $2,300 because of an acceleration.
That's what I'm talking about. Look at the stats. All these people that keep coming for me in the YouTube comments, first off, f*** you. Second off, look at the stats. Stop just telling me to get a better job or stop complaining. Look at the stats. It's just harder to live as a young person, and that is just a fact. The median mortgage pre-pandemic, $1,100 a month. And for all you people in your comments that are like, I'm 27 and I bought a house in 2019. Well, duh. Look. And actually, this median mortgage was off of February 2024. I'm fairly certain the median mortgage is actually closer to $2,700 right now.
This has resulted in an enormous transfer of wealth, where people over the age of 70 used to control 19% of household income versus people under the age of 40 used to control 12%. Their wealth has been cut in half. This isn't by accident, it's purposeful. This is me at UCLA in 1987. I know your first thought is I haven't changed a bit. When I applied to UCLA, the admissions rate was 76%. Today it's 9%. I received a 2.23 GPA from UCLA. I learned nothing but how to make bongs out of household items in every line.
Oh, I love this guy.
The 2.23 GPA from UCLA, I learned nothing but how to make bongs out of household items in every line from Planet of the Apes. And the greatest public school in the world, Berkeley, decided to let me in with a 2.27 GPA. And that's what higher ed is about. Higher ed is about taking unremarkable kids and giving them a shot at being remarkable. Higher ed and homes and the ability, not only is higher ed incredibly expensive, it's not accessible.
I want to talk about this chart for a second. So the average admissions rate at top schools has gone down considerably in the last 40-ish years. I would say that is a direct impact of there are more students going to college than ever before. And so there's more applicants and colleges have to be more selective. I would say the class sizes have probably been pretty similar, maybe increased a little bit.
Harvard is the best example of this. They've increased their endowment in the last 40 years and have decided to expand their enrollment, their freshman class, by 4%. Any university that doesn't grow their freshman class faster than population, that has over $1 billion in endowment, should lose their tax-free status because they're no longer in higher education. They're a hedge fund offering classes.
I love that. I love that he pointed this out because it's so true. Harvard, we all know Harvard. We know it's a phenomenal university. It's really hard to get in, and we know that. However, why is it that Harvard has over $1 billion in its endowment and it's more concerned with the returns on that endowment for its investors than, I don't know, making its college more affordable or accessible to the regular person? I have never figured this out. I don't get it.
My first recommendation, Biden should take some of that $750 billion earmarked to bail out the 1/3 of people that got to go to college on the backs of the 2/3 that didn't, and give $1 billion to our 500 greatest public institutions, size adjusted, in exchange for three things. One, they use technology and scale to reduce tuition by 2% a year, expand enrollments by 6% a year, and increase the number of vocational certifications and non-traditional four-year degrees by 20%. Where does that get us? In just 10 years, that doubles the freshman seats and cuts the cost in half. This isn't radical. This is called college in the 80s and 90s. Another transfer of wealth. Look at what's happened to wages. Oh, they've gone up, not as much as corporate profits. There's a healthy tension between capital and labor. For the last 40 years, capital has been kicking the shit out of labor. Well, you think, whoa, what about wages, right? They've gone up. Well, if you compare them to the S&P, they barely register. It's been an amazing time to own assets, but your attempt to get the certification or the income such that you can acquire assets has gotten harder and harder. In my class of 300 kids, it's never been easier to be a billionaire. It's never been harder to be a millionaire. By the way, our job in higher ed isn't to identify a top 1% of people who are freakishly remarkable or have rich parents and turn them into a superclass of billionaires. It's to give the bottom 90 a chance to be in the top 10.
Ooh, mic drop moment there. Yes, because I want to go back to that point that he just made. It's never been more difficult to acquire these assets. And if you saw that chart where he was pulling, let's go back to it, where he was showing corporate profits after tax versus wages. Yeah, look at this. Obviously, corporations are making stupid amounts of money. They're giving it back to their investors, which is fine, sure. But there's so much money they could be giving to the employees who are doing the hard work. But of course, everyone is more interested in paying the investors, when we could all be better off if we just paid the employees a little bit more and the investors got a little less. I mean, the S&P being up, 5,000% almost in the last 50 years. That's remarkable.
While the cohorts, corporations, and the ultra-wealthy continue to garner more and more of our wealth, we have decided, I know, if they win the gold, let's give them the silver and the bronze and let's lower their taxes. This transfer is purposeful. It's not by accident. And it works. Senior poverty is way down, and we should celebrate that. Meanwhile, child poverty is flat to up. The third rail, I'm going to talk about Social Security. It would cost $11 billion to expand the child tax credit, but that got stripped out of the infrastructure bill. But the additional $135 billion a year to Social Security, that flies right through Congress. And every year we transfer $1.4 trillion from a cohort that is increasingly doing less well to the cohort that is the wealthiest cohort in the history of this planet.
That is big facts. And I am not saying that Social Security is a bad thing or we should stop paying for Social Security. I think the purpose of Social Security was always for the working class to take care of the retired class who put their dues in. And I think as an idea, it is great. However, he makes an incredible point. Young people are the poorest they have ever been in history, paying Social Security to the richest people by age to have ever lived. And because there are no limitations to Social Security, right? If you paid into it, you get paid out. And as like a general idea, like, yeah, that makes sense, I guess. But most of those people, I'm not going to say most. I don't know everyone's financial situation, but a lot of those people have the money to take care of themselves. But if the government's going to throw $2,000 at you a year, or a month, I mean, why would you not take it? Everyone's going to take free money. Also, another thing, they already tell us by the time our generation gets there that we're not going to have Social Security. I'm getting serious for a moment. This is all a ploy. Like, I don't want to sound like conspiracy theorist or anything, because I don't think it's a conspiracy. I think all of this is very tactful. Congress is run by a bunch of old people, and why would they take money out of their own pockets? Right? Keep the rich rich. Keep the rich happy. Keep the rich in power. That's the whole goal. I mean, I don't know. Maybe that's simplifying things a little too much.
I'm not against Social Security, but the criteria should be if you need it, not whether you have a catheter.
I just said that. Well, not in that grotesque language, but I basically just said that.
80% of you have absolutely no reason to ever take Social Security. It is bankrupting our nation, and we have fallen under this mythology that somehow it's this great social program. No, it's not. It's the great transfer of wealth from young to old. How is this happening? Because our representatives are, in fact, representative. Old people vote.
I just said this too.
Washington has become a cross between the land of the dead and the Golden Girls. Quite frankly, this is fucking ridiculous. And if I sound ageist, I am. And you know who else is ageist? Biology.
That's a good joke.
Let's use the greatest health crisis in the century to really speedball the transfer. This is the NASDAQ from 2008 to 2012. We let the markets crash. But wait, lately, no, 1 million people dying would be bad. But what would be tragic is if we let the NASDAQ go down and guys like me lost wealth. So we pumped the economy, which again, increased the massive transfer of wealth. The best 2 years of my life, COVID. Why am I here and why do I get the prosperity I enjoyed? Because in 2008, we bailed out the banks, but we didn't bail out the economy. We let the markets fall. So as I was coming into my prime income earning years, I got to buy, no joke, these stocks at these prices. This is where
You're telling me Apple costs $7, Amazon, Netflix? If I was investing into those stocks, right, like I would be a millionaire, right? And it's only been 14 years. Wait, in 14 years from now, am I going to be a millionaire?
Young people don't want to have kids anymore. 2/3 of people aged 30 to 34 able-bodied used to decide to have at least one child. It's been cut in half. It's now less than a third. Whoa,
I have never seen this statistic before. 30 to 34-year-olds that want to have at least one child is only 27%. Is this in the world or in the US? 27%? 3 in 4 that are not having kids? Is it because they already had? That's crazy.
As a result, people over the age of 60 in the US, pretty happy. People under the age of 30, not so much. Some of the lowest in the free world. We got the hard stuff figured out. There are programs to address all of these issues that cost a lot.
Let's see what he says. The biggest one-day market cap gains, NVIDIA. Okay. With a single day's worth of gain of NVIDIA, we could pay for all of these things. Free tuition at all public universities, eliminate all lead pipes, the defense budget, universal pre-Ks, national paid family. Wow, we could fix all of that with, wow. Honestly, the free tuition at all public universities, way cheaper than what I would have ever imagined. Why has that not already been done? You're telling me our debt, national debt, is 37 trillion or something, but we can't take a tiny, like 0.1% of that to just give free tuition at all public universities? That's crazy.
A lot of money, that's the hard part. And we have figured this out. In just 5 minutes post an earnings call, we can add $250 billion to the economy. We've got the hard part figured out, the resources. We have the money, but we decide not to do it. This is per capita spending on childcare in the United States relative to other nations. This is housing permits. Things are doable. We increase minimum wage to $25 an hour. It goes into the economy. The wonderful things about low and middle income households is they spend all their money. We have to restore a progressive tax structure with alternative minimum tax on corporations and wealthy individuals. We need to refund the IRS. We need to reform Social Security. It should be based on whether you need the money, not on how old you are. We need a negative income tax. My friend Andrew Yang screwed up a great idea, but he branded it incorrectly. Instead of calling it UBI, he should have got Republicans on board by calling it a negative income tax.
Ooh, that's actually so true. I loved Andrew Yang's idea of a UBI because who doesn't love free money? Calling it a negative income tax, the branding of that, that's killer.
We need to eliminate the capital gains tax deduction. When did we decide that the money that capital earns is more noble than the money that sweat earns?
Big facts. Completely agree with that one. Long-term capital gains rate, why is it 15%? Short-term capital gains, taxed as ordinary income. I mean, I imagine it's another way to keep middle-class families middle class, right? Because the people that are trying to break into the stock market, trying to invest for the first time ever, are investing today. And then maybe some extraordinary thing happens to their life where they need money now. They're going to take it out before that 1 year clock has timed out. And then now they're paying ordinary income tax on these gains. And I have never understood.
We need universal pre-K. We need to reinstate the expanded child tax credit. We need term limits, see above Andrew Yang. We need income-based affirmative action. Any visible signs of affirmative action make no sense at all. You would rather be born gay or non-white in the United States today than poor, and that's a sign of our progress and our need to recalibrate who we give advantage to. Affirmative action, of which I'm a beneficiary of, I got Pell Grants, I got unfair advantage. Affirmative action is a wonderful thing, and it should be based on color. It should be based on green, how much money you have or don't have. We can do all of it. We have the resources. The question is, do we have the will? This is my last slide. Anybody here without kids? Ask someone with kids. You have your world of work, you have your world of friends, you have your world of kids. Something happens here, your whole world shrinks to this. So I present, as I wrap here, which is a few questions. One, if you acknowledge that our kids are the most important thing in our lives, if you acknowledge that they're doing more poorly than previous generations, and if you believe we can actually fix these problems and we have the resources, then I present to you, do we love our children?
Wow. Absolutely phenomenal. I love this guy, Scott Galloway. I mean, this is my biggest problem. I feel exactly the same way, but I don't have the vocabulary or the way to present it because I don't even have enough data. I know what he's saying to be true. I feel it in my heart, but I haven't done the research. And this isn't my way of being like, oh, we should just complain and complain and complain. He gave the solutions. Take even one, college tuition being free for everybody. Now all of a sudden we don't have a student debt problem, student loan problem. Universal pre-K. Childcare is expensive. It's like, I don't know, $2,300 a month per child. But if you can have universal pre-K and pay for it, that's $2,300 per child that goes right back into Americans' pockets. This is probably by far one of the best videos I've watched in a long time, and I'm quite literally about to send it to everybody. I hope you guys agree with me. If you think I'm crazy, make sure to put that in the comments below, and we can argue about it, because I respond to most, if not all, of the comments. So we can argue, we can go back and forth. You can call me an idiot. As always, if you enjoyed this video, make sure to smash that like button down below. Subscribe to the channel. I'm your favorite ex-investment banker, Jerome, and I'll catch you guys next time. Peace.